Hello, my name is Carl Surrey and this is a video tutorial for the Facebook group called Fans of Serif Software, and this is a tutorial for Serif's program Photo Plus X8, but it should pretty much work okay in all the earlier versions as well. It's quite a small and easy to do tutorial. This is an adaptation of a Photoshop tutorial which I saw in Digital Photo magazine quite a while ago now, and I can't quite get it the same as the magazine did. This is the best I could get, as close as I could get to it, and I hope you will enjoy it. Basically it is to try and make it look like the image has been etched or printed onto a sheet of metal. So once you have your start image, and I'm very sorry for you, but I'm using a picture of myself here, all you need to do is, first thing you need to do is to convert this into a black and white image. Your image may already be black and white, so that wouldn't necessarily, you can bypass this first bit. So the first thing that you want to do is come to Image, Adjust, and then down to black and white. Now this will open up this black and white film dialog box here, which you can just click OK to close. You don't need to really make any alterations, and then you have your black and white image. So next thing you want to do, down here in the layers display area in the bottom right hand corner, if you right click on that and then come up to duplicate, click OK, and then right click and duplicate that again, so you now have three versions of the same black and white image, and then the top version of that image will be the one that is highlighted. So what we need to do now is just to alter this top layer, and to do this we want to come up to Effects and down to Stylistic, and then down to Solarize. Again, this will open this box here with the adjustments. You don't need to make any adjustments really, you can just click OK, and this will give you this like negative image here. Now what we need to do now, we just need to make a levels adjustment. Now normally in these cases you would use like the levels as a layer, but this time we want to use levels as just a standalone tool. So if you come up to Image, Adjust, and down to Levels, you can, as you can see, you could use Control, Shift and E if you want, but just click on Levels, and again the Levels tool will open up on the screen. So all you need to do now is we just need to move the mid-tone pointer, which is this one here underneath the histogram. Just move that to the left, and we're only going slightly. You can see this number up here in the gamma box. I'm just going to go to like, change it to about 1.5, roughly around there. No, not going to be too precise, but yeah, 1.503 is more than enough. And I will just click OK on that. So next thing we want to do is to change the blending mode of this layer. At the moment, as you can see, it's currently on normal, and I'm going to change this down to lighten. So as you can see, this now is a much lighter and brighter sort of negative image. And what I'm going to do now is right click on that, and I'm going to merge down. I'm not going to merge all or merge visible, it's merge down. And what this will do is now it will merge that layer that we were on down onto the layer that was below, so now we only have 2 layers in the layers display area. So this one that is now the top copy, I'm going to duplicate that by right clicking and coming up to duplicate, and then just click OK. And I'm going to change the blending mode of this new layer to exclusion, which unfortunately you probably can't see on the screen here because it goes off screen a bit, but it's quite a long way down the list. You could use burn, but that gives you a much harsher light. If I come up to burn, so that is burn, and exclusion is like that, which is more what I was after. So that is now set on exclusion. And then if I open the levels tool again making sure that this top layer is the one that is highlighted, there's image adjust levels, or Control Shift and E. As you can see, the histogram is all the way over this side now. So if I just bring the pointer right over to the edge of the histogram here, and then you can just play with the middle tone one. You probably want to come quite close to the edge where they brought the shadows pointer over. I will leave it on there for now, and then all you could do is come up to layers, merge, and then merge all. And that technically was the end of the tutorial as it stood in the magazine. And like I said, it wasn't quite as close to the magazine as I could have got, or as I did get when I did the same tutorial using elements. But it was as close as I could get. Now that technically would be the end of this tutorial, but just because you've got to the end of a tutorial doesn't mean you have to stop at that point. You can go further if you wish. Now I thought what I would do, if this is supposed to be on metal, I thought, well, it would help if it had a bit of texture to it. So what I'm going to do now is to move this tutorial on from the magazine. Is I have a texture which I've got here, and a black and white texture probably works best in this particular case. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to rotate this clockwise so it's landscape like my image. I'm going to select all, so I've got the marching ants around it, and then edit, copy, go back to my image I have over here, and then edit as a new layer. So that layer is now above my background image, and as you can see it's quite a bit smaller than the image. The texture you have may not be, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the deform tool, and I'm going to hold down the shift key so it sort of alters size in a more a manner that I can control, so the texture fills the whole of my image. And what I'm going to do, I'm also going to make it come a bit further over to the left to try and lose some of this dark area here, because I didn't want it to be too dark. I'm not going to get rid of all of it, but that's pretty much where I'm going to leave that, I think. Let's just change tools to get rid of that area here. So now I'm going to change the blending mode again for this texture layer. Now you can go through all of the different textures to find one that you like the look of. Now I personally went straight for soft light, and let me just increase the size of this. As you can see, you've got a bit of texture that looks more like metal on that. It's probably a bit too much texture, so I'm going to change the opacity of this layer down to anywhere from 50 down to about 30%. Let's try 36. As you can see, if I zoom in a bit, there is some texture that you can just about see on that. And I will also just add a levels layer, and I will do it as a layer this time. And let me just collapse that a bit so I can see this. So as you can see, the histogram now has all the pixels over this side of the screen, so I'm going to bring this over to the edge of the histogram, and then I'm going to move the midtones back to the right a bit just to help darken the image and bring up some of this texture here. Alright, so let me just expand that again so we can see the layer display area. And another thing which I'm going to do now is I'm going to add a lens filter just to add a bit of colour to this. Now you can, as you can see, you've got the default colour is an orangey colour, but you've got a drop down menu here with different colours, cool filters which will make it blue. I quite like the look of the sepia coffee one, and then I bumped the density up quite high, which to me gave the image more of a sort of a rusty metal type colour. But again, you choose the colours that you like. So basically all you need to do now would be to go to layers and merge all, and there you would have your finished picture. So you could just go to the point where I did with the Photoshop tutorial and just have a sort of a flat metal type looking image, or you could then go a bit further and add a bit of texture and maybe a little bit of colour to get to where I've sort of taken this. And I hope you like it, and then if you don't like the end result, at least you are learning a bit more about how to use PhotoPlus. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.